Hello, this is Forrest Greenland. This is the library assignment for comics writing, workshop 3. This is for the graphic novel assignment. The title of the graphic novel I selected was The Odyssey. It was written and illustrated by Gareth Hines. It's roughly 253 pages, 256 depending on what copy you get PDF wise, as it'll have a couple of extra pages with information about what inspired him to draw this up and water paint it. In post writing and editing, I figured out that it's not a genuine graphic novel. It is a compilation of graphic novels depicting Odysseus's journey home after Troy, meaning that it's broken up into multiple smaller editions that were compiled by the artist or the writer and the illustrator. Um, Act 1 ends on page 49 with the following act on page 50. That's the first transition between the books about his son and Odysseus picking up from the island of Ogygia. It fits the model with the rise and fall of acts, conflicts, and appropriate narrative drive. The rise and fall of each story, it picks up with introductions, followed by the uh, conflict, such as in the Act 1, it's going to be his son that's trying to deal with the suitors to his mother Penelope, and at which point he is telling them to get lost, tries to seek aid from the elders of the island, only to fail, and then decide that he needs to go and find word of Odysseus to figure out whether he's dead and his mother should move on, or whether he's alive and he will be back to kill the suitors. And then, of course, in Act 2, it does the same thing. It picks up with Odysseus on the island of Ogygia, freed by the other gods. He creates a raft, goes out to sea, ends up getting the wrath of Poseidon again, which strikes him down, and he washes up upon the shore of the Phaeacians, where he then begs for aid in order getting home to Ithaca. And then he gets to tell his story, his tale of how he ended up getting trapped on Ogygia after Troy. And then once everything's all done, the king and the queen of Phaeacian, or the Phaeacian kingdom, basically go, okay, we will give you aid, get you home, give you what you need in order to, show that, you're still the king of Ithaca. You've been on a trial and it's been awful. So there you go. Whose story is it? Well, it's Odysseus's. It's basically the Odyssey in comic book form. The gods, hardship, loss, betrayal. And of course, Act 2 is the depiction of the gods' intervention on behalf of Odysseus, freeing him from Calypso. It starts with the escape from Ogygia, traveling the seas and being struck low by Poseidon. And of course, as I stated, washing upon the shores of the Phaeacians, and then getting the whole tale. That's all of Act 2, supporting the goal of returning home, killing the suitors, and claiming King of Ithaca once more. Does the story have a solid arc? Does it have a clear beginning, middle, and end? And is the resolution satisfactory? Yes. The beginning is the tale of Telemachus, son of Odysseus, looking for word of his father's fate. Then we have the escape of Ogygia by Odysseus, who seeks home with the help of the Phaeacians. Then the story ends with the clearing of the leeches of Ithaca by Odysseus and his kin. The story is the building blocks of storytelling for one of the oldest accounts of tales told by man. The story's been around, it's been retold, it's been given multiple mediums. This is just the comics medium or graphic novel medium of the story. So there's lots of dialogue, lots of artwork, really beautiful artwork. So there's Odysseus being freed by Hermes on Ogygia, Poseidon striking him low due to the wrath of blinding his son. Then we have the tales of Odysseus and the king of Phoenicia, or Phoenicians. I absolutely forgetting the name of this kingdom. And of course, all of it basically he starts weeping during the bard's tailing of Troy, and then he gets to tell his opportunity. Um, you know, it goes through the entire story. We have the nymphs that try to beguile his men. We have the Cyclops that they end up blinding and getting Poseidon's wrath. Then we have the king of the winds, who gifts Odysseus a bag of western winds, which his men think is laden with gold, ends up sending them all the way back. Um, then they wash up on the shores of another kingdom full of ram headed men that basically sink half the fleet that Odysseus is traveling with. Then we end up here with Circe and the men being turned into animals for daring to intrude upon the Isle of Women. We have his journey to the land of the dead and the prophecy, in which the holy Helios cattle are butchered, and he has to then go through all the trouble of dealing with this entire adventure. There's the sirens luring Odysseus to his sailors to their death, but of course the warning that he gets prevents all of that. Then there's the Cilia, which takes the men when they pass the island. And then, of course, this is the Helios cattle that are butchered. And then, of course, washing up onto the shores of Ogygia. And that is where his story ends. Do any of the characters have a solid character arc? Yes, all the characters do. With Telemachus, he goes through being the son of both Penelope and Odysseus. He's basically telling the people of Ithaca and all of the suitors that they need to get lost. And he gets told that he's just a boy. He doesn't get a say, and that they're going to continue to do what they do, and he's not strong enough to stop them. So he has to go on a journey to find his father, discovers a little bit about the world, discovers the entire tale of Odysseus and Troy, and then he makes his way back home, learns that his father's all right, and then with his father makes a stand to get rid of the suitors. Odysseus learns through his trials, and he grows as an individual. And of course, he's ready to just be home. Penelope does the same thing with basically tricking the suitors, being discovered, and so the suitors continue to take advantage of her, and she basically finally gets fed up, and she gives them a challenge, and this is when Odysseus shows up and proves that he's the only one capable of doing this. And then she gets to sleep and then experience the doubt that Odysseus is actually here, and then she learns that he is. And then, of course, there's other characters, minor characters throughout the story that also experience minor changes in development. But the story really focuses on Odysseus, Telemachus, and Penelope. This is that challenge. So, with this is McLeod's ideas of transitions as it relates to your chosen work. This is going to be the moment-to-moment capture. This is Odysseus traveling home. That was all of the previous slides of his journey. Action by action, this is where this picks up. This is him shooting the arrow through the axe heads, and then he turns his arrows on the suitors and starts to shoot them one by one, and of course it's action by action. He's taking one action, then another action, then another action. Then we have the subject to subject. This panel catches it, all of it. He speaks with his mother, and then he breaks down the different characters and the spirits that he's meeting. Alamemne, Epicaste, Ephemendeia, Otis, Ephialtes. He speaks of Hercules and other champions, Achilles, and all those other names that you're going to see. So he's kind of just introducing them. Then we go by scene, which is the transition from Act 1 to Act 2, and from Act 2 to Act 3. I don't have any images to show you what that is. That's kind of just where the scenes changed. It went from Telemachus to Odysseus, and then from Odysseus, Tales to being back on the island, and then all of the different things that happen after that. Aspect to aspect is what these pages are. These are the pictures of light, hearty feasts are being told, tales are being told, and introductions of this beggar that comes in, and they're basically making fun of him and treating him like shit. And then we transition through the festivities as it starts to get darker. The tone starts to shift, and then the aspect is changing. It's going from lighthearted to things are about to happen, and it's really dark, and it's not going to be good. And then this is where it finally boils down. They're planning all of this, and of course, the scenes are very dark at this point. Does the story make use of pages in mini comic? No, it does not. There are no scenes in which part of the story can be removed to display a complete idea without the remainder of the story included. It's broken into books, so maybe that could be a mini comic. From my understanding, a mini comic, it's just a page that tells the whole story. There are none here. I mean, sure, you could then transition to all of the different scenes where Odysseus is facing each trial, such as the Cyclops or Ogygia or Circe. But I don't think that fits well enough with this comic. Realistically, you have to have this entire comic as one fluid experience in order to get the full idea about it. Does the story make effective use of directional flow? It does for the most part. Um, there's a few times where some of the bubbles are split in a weird way where it'll have one bubble, then a connected bubble right below it, and then I'll have like a line or a tail. It's the same character speaking, and it'll bring that bubble off to the side, which makes it a bit confusing. Are you reading top to bottom, left to right, then top to bottom? And so there's a few times where that gets a little bit confusing, but for the most part, it's pretty self explanatory. Left to right, every single panel, and then top to bottom. Um, do I recommend this to classmates? Why or why not? No, it's a new medium for the Odyssey. Its art's really pretty. It's all done in watercolor, and it looks really really nice. Other than that, it doesn't revolutionize the tale being told. It's still just the Odyssey. It's just the experience of Odysseus on his way home. Would I recommend this to friends? Not classmates? Why or why not? No. There are better mediums for learning the tale of Odysseus. There are plays, there are games, there are books. Um, I feel that most of my friends don't ever do comic books, nor do they do graphic novels. So no, I wouldn't recommend this to friends. They don't care about the medium. There's other mediums that tell the story just as well, if not better. Any other observations you have regarding anything else we might have discussed in class? The flow of the action and narrative was wonderful. We have the splash pages. The pacing was interesting and diverse to allow a comfortable reading experience. Nothing felt too rushed. Nothing felt too slow. Everything had just this flow that kept it going. And then, fun fact: did you know that what you don't know is what you don't know can and will kill you? You don't know what will kill you. So, just a little fun fact for anybody questioning it. And that's it. Bye.